Unique New York. Unique New York. How now?
Hi, I'm Lourdes.
And I'm Eric, but you can call me Tello. This show is a family-oriented show, but it's oriented from the adult perspective. We talk about adult situations, and very often we use adult language. So if there's any kids in the room, kick their asses out. They don't belong here right now. Unless they want to learn something about life.
Right, this may not be suitable for children. And I'd like to add, I don't want to make anybody mad, and I love my family and friends.
I do too. So what is nostalgia exactly, and how does it work? The human brain conceptualizes events into positive and negative memories. Nostalgia is the process of remembering life events that are happy, Cummins explains. The feeling creates a connection to good experiences, places, people, and events from the past. It provides a hit of neurotransmitters such as serotonin and dopamine that create pleasant feelings, she added. That's interesting. I didn't know that it actually produced a chemical in the brain.
I didn't either.
It's also a healthy coping strategy and has been scientifically proven to improve patience, help lessen the pain of loneliness, and improve well-being. Looking back on the past with overly rose-colored glasses, on the other hand, might cause your feelings of nostalgia to take an unhealthy twist. If you look back and idealize what happened, you might compartmentalize the past and remember events differently from how they actually occurred. What do you think about that?
I love it. It's very eye-opening, like most of what we find or what you find. I think I experienced 2 nostalgic feelings.
Yeah.
Emotions, whatever. One was actually last night, and the other was earlier during the week. So the one earlier during the week, I'm going to turn this around. I don't know if I experienced it or if my mom was experiencing. I think she was, but she shared it with me.
Did you do a double nostalgic trip by being nostalgic for your mom's nostalgia?
Probably.
Oh my goodness, you might rip a time
nostalgialism.
You might rip a hole in the space-time continuum.
But I don't know if you can see this.
Give it a second. Not. Castillo, is that a birth certificate or a?
That's actually my birth card for the little cart that I was put in when I was born.
Oh, wow.
And so my mom sent that to me, and she called me, I guess, as soon as she sent it. So I didn't see it.
What'd she call you?
She said, Mija.
Oh.
Anyway, so that I felt like she was, she came across that, and it probably took her down, obviously, some memories of, me coming out of her JJ, or being in the hospital and stuff like that with my dad.
Screaming.
Yeah, probably hating him.
Pain.
Because,
you're ripping through the walls.
Yeah, and
you're like this little baby, and you see this bright light at the end of a tunnel, and you're going through, and then you're greeted by this stranger, and then people that you're...
Other strangers. Yeah. So she did make some comment about my dad. I really don't remember what she said.
She misses him.
I don't think it was negative or positive. But it's funny because, Andrea, my sister.
Yes.
And I were born in the same year.
Yeah, you're Irish twins.
Yeah.
And you're Mexican somehow.
Yeah.
You're Mexican-Irish twins. Top of the morning to you.
And we...
I got it. Top of the morning to you. Pass the tacos.
So, not to put everything out, my mom's business out there, but she had went through a bad... I don't say bad divorce. Her marriage before my dad ended fairly quickly, and she was pregnant. So Andrea and I, don't have the same dad, but here comes my dad to the rescue.
That's so funny to think of your dad as coming to the rescue after knowing him for as long as. Yes, he came to the rescue.
Years.
Yeah, he came to the rescue. Thank goodness.
I know that it's going to be so taken out of context with everybody that listens.
But
Anyway,
thank goodness though, because you're here as a result.
yeah,
Lupe, Alex.
yeah.
Did I miss any?
So
Is that it?
no,
Okay.
I was here as a result,
Of
and
his heroic rescuing of your mom. I'm picturing him
and
like with a cape and holding your like cradling your mom in his arms, like he like Superman holding Lois Lane after like
oh
catching her from
gosh,
falling off a building or something.
I'm actually starting to feel a little sick now. Anyway, so I'm sure that card took her down memory lane, and like I said, I don't know if it was good or bad. When she called me, I felt like it was good, so it was releasing some good hormones for her. Now, after we talked,
Got that
I don't
dopamine
know.
release.
And then the other that I wanted to share, which for me, I feel like it was positive. I got a text last night, and uh, it's actually, I'm going to see if I can turn this on.
Uh,
So this is my response to Felicia, our
our
cousin
cousin
that sent
Felicia.
this. Yeah. She sent it to me, and I said, "Oh wow, I look like a girl." So this is the negative nostalgic effect, I guess.
Yeah, because
Most of my pictures,
you have this memory of you looking boyish. You had your hair was really curly when you were younger. So
yeah,
when you get it cut short, it looked even shorter.
yeah.
And I didn't know this, but you always felt like you looked like a boy.
I didn't know
Oh,
that I looked like a boy until I was older, and I look back and I'm like, why was I a boy? But so to tag on to what you said, my message or my response to Felicia was, "Oh wow, I look like a girl. I usually look like a boy in my kid pics." And then I, saw my Aunt Marcy, which is Felicia's mom, who's passed. And so that was good. It gave me good feelings.
yeah.
And then Felicia's response was, "Yes, we saw the one with your super short hair." LOL, great memories. I'm like, great memories for y'all. But yeah.
You
Yeah.
look like you changed your setup a little bit.
Yeah, I got a different desk, and I never sent you the picture, so I'll do that. But yeah.
We'll talk more about nostalgia in the second part of the show. But go ahead and tell me what's going on. What happened with your husband?
So Luis is he's spoiled, and so I take pride in what I cook for him for dinner. And if he isn't happy, then I feel like nobody's happy. But yesterday I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go out on a limb and hope it doesn't break. And I'm going to make spaghetti and French bread, like spaghetti, the meatball subs.
Yes.
So I went
Which
and got
to
some
me
stuff
sounds
from.
delicious. I love spaghetti,
I think it was
meatballs. I love
delicious.
meatball subs. Like my mouth is starting to water thinking about that. And
So
it's
I was like,
early in the morning.
I said, I'm not gonna make too much. Usually, if I make something like that, I end up making two things: that for the kids and I to eat, and then something separate for him.
Well,
So I was like, I'm not
as
going
an
to do that.
example, what would you normally make? Like some examples of what you might make separate for him.
So since I used ground beef to do the meatballs, I probably would have kept some out, which I did, but I didn't cook it.
You would have kept some out.
I would have chopped up some serrano peppers, onion, tomato, sauteed that, put in the ground beef, and just made him some tacos or that with some fresh cooked pinto beans. Ugh,
And you would typically do this
cheese,
because of why?
because he's el mexicano. He doesn't like other food.
Okay.
He needs his carbs, protein, and carbs.
Well, spaghetti and meatballs certainly have carbs. Meatball sandwiches too.
Well, the sauce sometimes can get a little sweet.
Yeah.
So I kicked it up. I added some extra spice to make those meatballs have a kick.
You made
And I
some
was like,
spicy meatballs.
I sure did. I was like, here you go. You don't even need salsa. But I did ask him if he wanted lime because he squeezes lime on everything.
I've never tried lime. You know what I have tried? So you put a little chili in there. I've actually put Tabasco sauce in the spaghetti sauce. And I
Oh,
don't know if he likes the flavor of Tabasco sauce, but it's surprisingly good. So if you're out there and you're bored with spaghetti and meatballs, try a little Tabasco sauce. Kick it up a notch.
well, he hated it. So
And
I,
how did that make you feel? Because you spent time cooking this dinner for your family, and you purposely did not make anything separate for him, although you usually do, from what I
yeah,
understand.
yeah,
But
yeah.
this time, what were you thinking? Like, this time he's going to like it. I put some spice in there, or were you just like, I'm too
Th-
tired,
this time I was like,
or were you feeling resentful in any way? Were you like, you know
I
what?
think that,
Oh, really? Okay.
I think I was like, because the girls, they pick up on that. They're like, Mom, don't ask him, just do it. And I was like,
Don't ask him what.
don't ask him, don't give him options,
Oh, okay.
just do it. And I'm like, okay. And so I'm like, I'm going to take their advice, take my kids' advice.
Well, you know what? I don't know if the advice was good or bad, but it's good that you're listening to what your children have to say. Like,
Yeah.
they're part of the family too.
Yeah. So
If they break
I,
you and your husband up,
so we sit down, we eat, and like, he has this look on his face, like, just like
yeah,
disgusted.
okay.
So, I'm like, hey, I was like, do you want me to warm the leftovers from last night? He's like, no, I'm going to eat this.
And what were the
But
leftovers?
meat and potatoes.
Okay.
And the whole time, it's like, he looks like he just wants to barf, but he's eating it. And I'm like, I said, if you don't want to, don't eat it. So that was starting to really get to me because I felt like he was forcing himself. So I didn't know if to take that as a good thing. Like, okay, he's trying, he's going to eat it. But of course, you know me, negative Nancy. I was like getting pissed off because my plan didn't work. And he still wouldn't let me, I shouldn't say let me, but he still wasn't willing to just give in and say, yeah, will you please warm the leftover food?
And why do you think that is?
One, he probably didn't want to hurt my feelings, but it was too late because it was all over his face.
But does his effort mean anything to you that he clearly suffered through a meal that he didn't enjoy just so he wouldn't hurt your feelings?
Not really.
So your feelings were hurt, and he ate a meal that he didn't enjoy. So you both
Yeah.
lost in that situation.
Yeah. I'm like, man, we really need to work on our communication skills here. So he's
Or maybe
picking
don't take
out,
advice from your kids about your relationship. I don't know.
yeah. He picks out these big pieces of, I don't know what. And I thought they were garlic because the tomato sauce was just canned tomato sauce.
Like a chunky tomato.
Yeah. And I had already picked out like huge pieces of garlic. And so he was like, I was like, if you don't like it, he said, no, I don't like this. And I was like, I don't either.
He was
I
pointing to all the food when he said that.
Yes.
I was joking.
He was like, I don't like all this red stuff.
The sauce that is all over the spaghetti or all over the meatball sub.
And yeah, I gave him half of a meatball sub. It's like, I don't like this.
Oh my goodness. I can't understand someone who doesn't enjoy spaghetti. Oh man, I just don't understand those taste buds. Like that's probably my favorite meal in the world. Like some sort of pasta, but if gun to my head, like spaghetti and meat sauce or spaghetti and meatballs.
Yeah. It was, I did, as soon as I was through, I was like, I got to go put my desk together.
So
I can't look at you anymore.
Were you angry the whole night or did it pass?
No, I had to think about it. Like I had to like, kind of like like different examples, like think about it. Did it mean anything that, was it pride or was it just, being genuine?
Did the kids pick up on him not liking it?
Oh my gosh. They're like mini me's and him. So
oh
yeah.
Lord. Oh Lord. So
we've raised little monsters.
What they have to say about it?
They didn't say anything. They're like, don't give options. Just do it.
My goodness. Yeah, I don't know.
Like when you're a kid,
yeah.
They say if you're hungry, you're going to eat it. If not,
But in the past, y'all have enjoyed a meal together. Like y'all actually all have meals There are meals that your family enjoys completely, right? That the entire family can
Yes.
enjoy, or is okay.
Yeah. They're usually centered around one person.
I feel like you're being passive aggressive. Can you be more specific?
Yeah, I can't because
Is
homie
that is
just
that
came in here.
is that one person you?
No.
Is that one person your daughter Isabel?
No.
Is that one person your daughter Pila?
No, we don't carry much weight.
Is that one person your son Luis?
No.
Is that one person your older son Luis?
Yes.
Why would you say yes to that? He's not your son.
You know those videos that say this is how this is how Mexican, or the memes, like this is how Mexican moms treat their sons, and they're like growing ass men, and mom is like holding them. They crop it. It's so funny.
Yes. Yes.
All good intentions.
Yeah, I was one of those Mexican men for a long time until I moved out at the tender age of 20. And now I'm living with roommates.
At least you're independent.
Life's going great. I can look back and be like, man, I used to live with somebody, but now I live with somebody else. That nostalgia factor.
Yeah.
So, did y'all go to bed upset, or did y'all not even talk about it?
We really didn't talk.
And this was last night's dinner?
Yeah.
What do you plan on making for dinner tonight?
So, you know, the weather's like getting super cold.
Yes.
So I was like, we need to make something warm. So I asked, actually tomorrow is homie's birthday. So I was like, I'm going to kick the weekend off.
Oh, happy birthday.
Yeah.
Today's my nephew's birthday. Happy birthday, Jonathan.
Oh, happy birthday, Jonathan. Anyway, so I'm going to try to make menudo tomorrow.
Is that something that Luis likes?
Yes. So
why can't you just make something that he likes all the time? Why you got to be so mean?
The menudo is going to be like my second time making it, so I have to prep. But tonight he wants fajita. So I said, well, okay. It's like, how are we going to cook that? Like, and he's like, on the pit. So it's going to be super cold.
Oh, so I was going to ask you, does he ever cook? But if it's on the pit, I'm assuming he's cooking, right? Or
yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't cook on the pit. I can't somehow get the concept of when and how much lighter fluid to put on the charcoal.
Let me explain something to you. And I don't mean to offend anybody, but when you're cooking on an open fire, that's really a man's job. When you're cooking in the kitchen, that's a woman's place.
Well, just to let you know, I have a gas stove, so it's open fire.
It's different. It's coming from a stove. It's not in a pit. It's not a pit of fire.
Yeah.
By the way, I'm kidding for anybody listening. That's clearly, I hope clearly a joke. I don't actually think that way.
Ha ha ha.
What? I've had plenty of women cook on a pit for me. It was so nice. I'm like, oh, I don't have to sweat. I don't have to smell like charcoal.
I've tried. I just can't seem to, like I said, I can't get it down to know when the charcoal is right to add, to start.
I'm terrible at it too. Like I haven't cooked that much on a pit.
Let the truth be told.
I remember the first time my brother cooked on a pit, and we had both never done it. We were just remembering what we had seen other people do. So I don't know if you remember when we were younger, when our uncles or our grandfather would cook, but there was always a beer that they would use to throw on the fire. So
Luis would do that too.
Yeah, so we would do that a lot too, and we didn't know what the hell we were doing, and it came out like crusty and burned. But he continued doing it, and now he's really good at it.
Yeah.
He's great at it, and Luis is really good. Your husband is really good at it.
Yeah. Why do they put it on there?
I think the beer is. Because I never figured this out because I've only grilled a couple of times on my own. Mm-hmm. I think the beer is to help calm the flames down so that it doesn't get too hot and burn the food. Mm-hmm. But I'm not 100% positive of that.
I'm just going to ask Luis right now.
Yeah, ask him.
Homie, why do you put beer on the barbecue when you're cooking it? Sometimes. What does the beer do? Like when you're cooking the meat?
Please tell me he said the fire's thirsty.
He said to put the fire out when
Hey!
the fire's too high. So you're right.
All right. See, I kind of know how to grill.
I was thinking it gave it some type of flavor.
Ask him if it's because the fire got thirsty. Say, are you sure it's not because the fire got thirsty?
¿Estás seguro que era porque la lumbre no tenía sed?
What did he say?
He rolled his eyes.
He says, "Is that Tello's joke?"
He's looking at me like, you need to get a chair and sit with.
So it sounds like y'all are getting along better today. Ask him if he's still full from last night.
Dice Eric, quiere saber si estás lleno de anoche. Todavía. He's like, ching.
Hey, he already shit it out. I'm sorry.
No, he ended up when I woke up last night when I went to bed, he had like it was empty, but the gallon of ice cream.
Yeah.
I guess he'd gotten what was left in it, and that's what he ended up eating.
Wait, did you find the gallon in your bedroom?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is he 13 years old?
No. But yeah, I was looking to see if it was still over there because I was going to stand up and take a quick picture.
Well, I hope tonight's dinner goes better than last night's. I'm sorry that it didn't work out, and I'm not taking sides or anything, but I love spaghetti and meatballs. I love meatball subs. If we were still living in the same town, I'd have been like, give me your leftovers. There won't be any for later.
Man, I could have sworn he's eating meatball subs from Subway. I was like, man,
I wonder if he likes my mom's meatball subs.
I don't think he's ever had them.
Okay.
But if it's not red with salsa, I don't think he's going to go.
Hey, maybe we can try that. That might be a cool fusion dinner to try. Make some meatball salsa.
Yeah, you know what? You're giving me ideas.
I'm
Instead
serious.
of putting it on French bread, I could put it on tortillas.
No. You could probably still try it on French bread and maybe have the tortillas as a backup.
Yeah.
But, I don't know how spicy you want to make it. Hey, we might be onto something. There's a lot of cool food fusion, yes.
Yeah.
All
right, I'm going to make a note of that.
I almost said Ford Fusion with it. I think is an actual vehicle.
Get Ford Fusion.
It's an electric hybrid.
Yeah, so that was dinner. It was interesting.
Well, I hope everything works out. Keep us updated.
We'll do.
All right, let's take a break real quick. Hey, are you enjoying Number 2 Podcast? Would you like to support us so that we can keep making these great shows for you? Cuz, why don't you tell them where they can go?
Hit us up at campfirepod.com/support us. That's campfyrepod.com/support us. Support us is all one word.
You can support Number 2 Podcast directly with a monthly donation for as little as 99 cents per month through our anchor.fm website. Or scroll down a little more and you can click on our merchandise link, and that'll take you directly to our Amazon store where you can buy one of the shirts that we offer. And if you pick up anything else during that visit, we'll make a small commission at no extra charge to you.
That's right. Listen in style, pick up a badass shirt, support us at campfirepod.com/support us. That's campfyrepod.com/support us.
All right, cuz I wanted to talk a little bit more about nostalgia because it's something that I've been thinking about a lot, especially during the pandemic. We've been experiencing a lot of nostalgia to kind of help escape from the current times that aren't so great that we find ourselves in right now. And one of the things was the home video project I was doing with the old tapes that I found. Do you mind explaining a little bit of that to the audience?
Sure. So Tello and his creative film.
Stop it.
Yeah. Back in the day, we'll go back to what is it, 96?
No. Late 90s, like 98, 99.
Okay. So late 90s.
After I graduated high school and could afford to buy a camera.
Yeah. Would film our family gatherings. His immediate family and nieces and nephews.
Your immediate family too. We're related.
Yes, and my family too. And it's funny because some of those recordings, some of those gatherings, I didn't realize, or I forgot maybe, that we did a lot of that stuff here. So anyway, Tello would film our family gatherings, and so over a period of what we think it was maybe 6 or 7 years.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, probably around 7 years.
Yeah, and even us 15 years because of Brianna's quinceañera, my niece's quinceañera.
Right. Well, I'm finding more and more, but
more recent.
The bulk of the project was transferring the old digital 8 tapes that I found, and that was proving difficult because of it was old technology, so I needed older equipment to do that.
Yeah.
And the equipment I was using, unfortunately, just isn't working properly anymore. But I was able to pull a lot of tapes from the late 90s, early 2000s, as you mentioned, a lot of family gatherings, and you and your family started watching those as your family movie night.
Yep.
And what was that like?
Oh man,
how did that make you feel?
The first couple of videos that we watched, it was like taking me back to that being there in that party, like I was there. It was a bit emotional because several of our family members are no longer.
The first one was Easter 1999, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Which was half our lifetime ago.
Yep.
Maybe, yeah. And we still had, in the video, was our grandmother, our uncles who have passed away, our aunts who have passed away, and your kids and our other cousins when they were just babies.
Yes. So it was just a mixture of feelings. Overall, I mean, when the movie, when the video was over, it was like
no. You can call it a movie. Makes me feel like the movie I made 20 something years ago.
The movie was over,
and the credits rolled, and it was directed by Tello.
It was like, man, I was so appreciative of being able to revisit those memories.
How
like
did you,
I said,
go ahead.
It was a mixture of feelings, but it was like watching a good movie where you cry, you laugh, you're like, oh. So I think it was maybe the third video, or maybe even it was that Easter. I can't remember exactly, but the flip side, the part that I felt like was a little negative was seeing myself, who I was then. And I mean, I was young, didn't know, you know what I'm saying? It's just,
you hadn't experienced the world yet.
Yeah. But I had already, I forced myself into a world that I didn't know because I was young. I got married when I was 18. I had Isabel actually when I was 19. And
were you pregnant when you got married?
No. I got married in December. I'm sorry, in September. I got married in September and I got pregnant in December. This might sound pretty, I don't know what, but I always tell Louise, like, if I had gotten pregnant first, I really don't think I would have gotten married.
Oh, I thought you were about to say
that mentality.
I thought you were about to say we wouldn't have had a kid. I would have gone straight to the abortion.
Stop. That's so wrong. Anyway, so it's a mixture of feelings, but the negative part of the nostalgia was I started thinking like I was judging myself of the way I dressed, the way I talked, just my sisters, my brother. I felt like we just looked different than I started comparing ourselves to our other family members during that time. And I struggled with that. And
you had said that you had showed one of these to your sister Phoebe, and she had a thought about how she acted back then.
Yeah. She apologized. She was like, I can't believe I didn't even, because one of the videos she walks into she shows up to the house, at grandma's house, and she didn't speak to any of us. She just kind of gave us like a nod, and she just had a different
Attitude?
yeah. And it was, you know, I didn't really pay attention to say like, oh, well, she was just being really ugly, even watching the video, but not until she watched it herself. She was like, I can't believe I just walked in. I didn't speak to any of you. And I'm like, then she said, I was like, yeah, you're right. You were kind of being mean. So rude of you. But like you mentioned early on, Loopy did the same thing. My other sister, Loopy, she was having a hard time with it too. Because I think we were just being too hard on ourselves. That was just the environment and the way.
We're always our own worst critic. So it's good to have somebody there to help kind of like walk through this with you. Like, yeah, I mean, we were just kids back then. I don't know about y'all, but I thought I knew everything by the time I was 18. No one else could tell me anything because I was like, even though I had an experienced life, I was pretty educated at the time. I'd done well in school, and I just thought like, these my family who hasn't, experienced that much, like what could they possibly teach me? But it turns out I was just being stupid and egotistical. There's a lot I can learn from my family, whether it's what to do or what not to do. I remember my Uncle Manuel telling me to be careful with my weight because he doesn't want me to have the unhealthy life that he was living. And I remember just thinking like, God, I've heard this so many times. Yeah, I know, but why can't you take your own advice? And here, I wish I wish I would have taken it more seriously then, because maybe now I wouldn't be as heavy as I am now. And while luckily I haven't experienced many health problems, it does, I know it does affect my health.
So do you think that okay, looking back, like you just said, he would give you that advice. How did he give it to you? Like, were y'all in a room full of people? Was it just him saying, hey?
I remember the one I remember. Yeah, the one I remember the most, and I don't know why it even came up, but I think it was at Grandma's funeral at the cemetery after, right after this services. Yeah, at the actual cemetery. I remember him talking to me, and I just, my mind was somewhere else because we were burying a loved one. And again, like it was, thoughtful, loving advice, but I was just not willing to listen to it. Yeah. And I mean, it seemed like an odd time to bring it up. Like I'm going through the emotion of losing my grandmother. He's going through the emotion of losing his mother. And he's telling me I'm too fat, essentially.
Jeez, could he wait at least till the next day or something?
Yeah, can you wait till we're like back at home eating too much food?
Our family has that thing.
That seems an appropriate time to tell me you're too fat when I have a plate that's almost buckling under the weight of the food.
Yeah. I think food has always been our comfort zone.
Oh yeah, it's been
everything. It's
where we go to sulk, to drown our sorrows, and it's also what we use to celebrate. Yeah. I brought this up because I'd been thinking about nostalgia a lot because I see it a lot in pop culture, and especially during the pandemic. But I found this article on Brit, and I'm not sure that the pronounce it Brit and Company or Brit.Co, about when nostalgia becomes unhealthy. But in pop culture, I noticed when we were kids, like our parents' generation kind of packaged and resold their nostalgia to us in movies like Back to the Future, Stand By Me, which are both great films. And I remember cartoons like Muppet Babies, even though that was kind of a timeless series for the most part. They were just babies, but the theme song was a very 50s style song. It was like, Muppet Babies, da-da-da-da-da. And then a pup named Scooby-Doo, which Scooby-Doo was popular, I think, in the 60s and 70s. I'm not exactly sure, but, I love Scooby-Doo. I grew up watching Scooby-Doo. But a pup named Scooby-Doo, the style and everything looked like it took place in the 50s, and I'm assuming it did. But the theme song was definitely a 50s style song, like I want to say like a doo-wop kind of 50s style. It was like Scooby Dooby, Scooby Dooby.
Yeah.
Oh, na, 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 na. You know, so it had like that really 50s
Yeah.
sound. And
Yeah.
you know, this was in the 80s, maybe even into the early 90s that, you know, they're playing this. And then, you know, a big Stephen King was huge. Had a lot of movies and TV movies that came out at the time, but that came on TV, the TV version,
Mhm.
it took place in modern times, which was the 80s, but it flashed back to 20 something years ago, like in the 60s, I think. So, you know, there was that nostalgia. It was like
Right.
actually combining,
Yeah.
like, and then, you know, you
Hmm.
flash forward to current times and you have the remake of It, which takes place in modern times, and it flashbacks to the 80s, which was our childhood, and that's for
Right.
a whole new generation. And like Stranger Things
Yeah.
is super popular, which I love. But again, it's take place in the 80s, and it shows us kids outside together riding their bikes all over town. Like I remember riding my bike to McDonald's to go visit my mom, to go visit y'all. And granted, we didn't live that far apart, but like
Right.
it was
It was
my only source of freedom. Like I was away from my mom, I was away from the adults in my family. Like I was just I could have gone anywhere. I was scared to because you know I was given limitations, but uh, I remember having like really good time. Like when I made friends with the kids down the street and we'd go downtown and ride our bikes.
yeah.
Like I would never go there by myself, but you know we were a group, so we felt safer. Um, and you know just you know having those memories, but like again repackaged and sold to our current generation, which I'm sure your kids rode bicycles when they were younger, but it was a what you looked away like
'Cause I'm
maybe they didn't.
thinking, um, Luis, my son, you know, not
Yes.
homie, uh, during the pandemic, before the pandemic, we had actually bought some bikes from your brother, and they'd been sitting out for, I don't know, months, maybe even a year. But during the pandemic, everything was shut down. So we were like, you know what? We got a big backyard. We got, you know, whatever. We're going to ride the bikes. So we did. We rode them in the yard. And Luis, my son, was like, but mom, y'all never taught me how to ride a bike. And I was like, oh
What?
my gosh. So when you said
What
that,
a bad parent.
well, I know he's had bicycles because that's like one of the things that you get a kid for their birthday or Christmas.
Yeah.
It's like, you got to get him a bike.
You just made me remember when I was learning how to ride a bike. Go ahead and finish.
And
While we
he's
experienced this nostalgia together.
yeah, he was right. I was like, when did we teach him how to ride a bike? But he's, you know, he born in 2004. So technology was, you know, starting to really, the gaming systems at the age when he
Yeah,
was
the
able to
iPod
play.
already existed. It was a few years away from the iPhone existing, and then a few more years after that before the iPad existed.
Yeah, I didn't really teach him. I mean, he taught himself, but it's kind of funny though to watch him ride. He's like, push the brakes, son. He's 16. Push the brakes.
Oh my
Take the
goodness.
training wheels off.
My training wheels stayed on for so long. So wait, he had training wheels on when he was 16?
No, I
Or
was just being
okay,
funny.
okay. I
It was
just
like
wanted to make sure.
a 10-speed. It was an adult size bike.
Yeah.
So we
Okay.
put
Well, hey, they
training
might have training wheels for that. Who knows? Um, I actually learned at my, well, I was learning. I didn't officially learn then, but I was at my Uncle Manuel's house, the street that runs in front of his
Yeah.
house. It's, you know, not a very busy street.
It's a
So I
cul-de-sac.
remember,
Yeah.
it's a cul-de-sac. So I remember my cousin Patricia, his daughter, running behind me, holding onto the seat so I wouldn't fall over. And still, she'd let go, and then I'd fall over. I didn't really learn, but like I remember taking that time. Like they took that time to try and teach me. I don't remember how we got the. We must have loaded it in my mom's car to get the bicycle over there because
Yeah.
I certainly didn't ride all the way over there. And it's so funny because oftentimes people say, "Oh, it's like riding a bike; you never forget." So, like learning to ride a bike is, for me at least, was very difficult. But I don't remember the time exactly when I was able to do it without the training wheels because it seems so natural now.
Yeah.
But I clearly remember like him being upset because I couldn't balance. He's like, when you feel yourself going one way, just throw your body the other way. I'm like,
That doesn't make sense.
but by the time I feel myself going that way, it's too late. Like
That's
I'm already
weird.
Yeah. Like trying to explain these complex adult methods to a child.
Yeah.
But yeah, this article is written by Krista Gray on Brit.Co. It's about nostalgia, and she talks about the good and the unhealthy of nostalgia. And I don't know if all this, like, I enjoy this. I'm a big pop culture fan. I love movies and music. So I don't know if these are good or bad. I'm not saying that one way or the other, but they're just examples of where I've noticed that, like, I haven't watched in a while, but a TV show called The Goldbergs is about a kid growing up in the 80s who had, using a video camera, recorded a bunch of his childhood memories.
Gosh, was his name Tello?
I wish he.
It's the Goldbergs, not Tello.
Yeah, well, the show is based on his childhood memories, and I guess a lot of it is drawn from his old home videos.
Yeah.
So it really strikes a chord with me because I can really relate to his character as a kid, because even though I didn't have a camera at the time, like I was still fascinated by all the things he was fascinated by. His brother his older brother in the show is dorky, but like athletic or want to be athletic. And I'm like, well, my brother was athletic. He was actually a really good athlete, but I can relate to their relationship so much because
they're just so similarities.
They butt heads and then they get along and they butt heads. I'm like, oh man, that's just like my brother and me. But one of the things I just wanted to say was like, just for people to be aware of it. Like it can be fun to go down memory lane, like watching the home videos, the project, which by the way, I need to thank your sister Lupe, because I had been wanting to do that for a while, but I never really had the hard drive space to transfer the videos. And she had called me one night, or no, she had texted me one night to ask me if I had a picture of our uncle who's passed away, our other Uncle Bones. And I knew I had a picture someplace because I remember posting a video, and I was looking through my photo archive on my computer and I couldn't find it. And I started looking on the social media to see if I could find that old post, and I couldn't find anything. And I was like, man, with the amount of time that I spent just looking for this, I could have loaded up that tape, found the spot of where I originally posted it, and just taken a screen grab of that. So I did. But I had to watch some and fast forward through some parts and see some relatives who are no longer with us. I mean, including our Uncle Bones.
Yeah.
And I FaceTimed her after I found the picture and I sent it to her, and she was really grateful. And then I FaceTimed her and I was like, "Hey, cuz I just had to look through this, and I don't want to be the only one who has to experience this." So through FaceTime, I played the video on my computer, and we started talking, and we probably shed a tear or two together. And I told her, I feel kind of bad about this, but I was dropping some heavy hints. Like, yeah, I've been wanting to transfer these videos, but I just don't have the hard drive space. I want to get a hard drive, but they're kind of expensive. And she was like, well, how much are they? And in my mind, I was like, oh, she took the bait. Thank you. I said, well, let me look. I was like, let me look it up. And again, I feel terrible about this. I should have just been up front and been like, hey, I want to do this. Would you would you mind helping me pay her?
Yeah.
I'm so embarrassed. Such a bad person.
No, you're not.
So, thanks, cuz. You're a good person too, even though you purposely made a meal for your husband you know he wouldn't like. We're horrible people.
I know.
So I look it up and I'm like, well, this hard drive costs this much, but to be safe, this is the one I would prefer to get, and it's this much more. And she was like, well, I'll send you some money right now. I was like, okay.
Wow.
So she and her son Elijah sent me a certain amount of money. It covered more than half of the hard drive, so I covered the rest. Don't worry, you don't have to chip in. We got this. So I bought this hard drive, and I haven't been able to watch all the videos that you've been able to watch because there were so many. I can't transfer them like you would now with a camera. You plug it in. There's a digital file. You just transfer it over.
Yeah.
I have to do it in real time. And while you might think, oh, why don't you just watch it while you're doing that? Well, I set it up in real time. If it's an hour and a half video, it's going to take an hour and a half to transfer. So I set it up, and I'm like, okay, I can sit here and watch it, or I can use this hour and a half to do other stuff that I need to do. So I would do like chores and whatnot, run errands, and then come back and stop it. And then it's a digital file. Oh, is this boring? Like, I don't want to bore
No.
the audience with this process. So then it's a digital file that I can copy over and whatever. So I take that. It's an old, archaic video file that might not work on other things. So then I have to load it up into my video editor.
Damn.
If there's anything inappropriate that I think might be inappropriate or might be offensive to other people in the family, just kidding. No, if there's anything that I'm like, I don't want to include for whatever reason,
Yeah.
it might just be like
Private. Something private.
yeah, the family secrets.
Yeah.
Like, we don't need everything out there. I'll cut it out, and then I'll export it as a modern video format, and then I uploaded it to share with the family.
And you
By the
can't
way-
watch a video through any of that? I'm joking.
Well, it tied up my computer, and the video card went out. So now it would take even longer to do all that video compression to make it a new. So that project is on hold. But one of the things also is like doing that, it would make my bedroom so hot because that's where my computer is. It would be working on this file, like doing the math to convert it.
Oh.
And it just warmed up the entire bedroom. And now that it's cold outside, it would be the perfect time.
But now you don't have the equipment.
So that aside, I didn't mean to take too much of a tangent, but going back to nostalgia, like it was fun to watch what I got to watch, like seeing my nieces when they were young, just like the childhood innocence, seeing us when we were young.
Yeah.
Like, I wasn't in a bunch of them because I was behind the camera, but when I pass it off to somebody else, like, I've always thought of myself as so fat, and right now I literally am so fat. Again, should have taken my Uncle Manuel's advice, didn't do it. But seeing myself in my 20s, and yeah, I was overweight, but I was never as fat as I thought I was.
Yeah.
I am now. I grew into it. It took me some time, but I did it. Hold your applause.
Stop.
I finally reached the image that I had of myself when I was younger. And I just think to myself, like, it upsets me. And this is probably the negative part of nostalgia. Like, if I had only known, like, I could have worked harder
Yeah.
to be more physical, and I might have been able to keep that weight off. But I never was. I was already past the bike riding age. I had a car.
Yeah.
I had a job, and most of the time I spent, like right now, sitting in front of my computer. And now what do I do for a living? I sit in front of a computer. And it really bothered me. I was like, man, if I could only go back to that time. And then also I was thinking, like, why didn't somebody tell me what a slob I looked like? Like, I was wearing like old t-shirts that were kind of wrinkly. In fact, that reminds me, I need to fold and put my laundry away because they're getting wrinkled now. But like, I just needed like a little bit of a self-esteem boost.
Yeah.
Because for whatever reason, and maybe one day when I can finally have the courage to enter therapy, I can find out, for whatever reason, I just didn't think too highly of myself. And that reflected in my outward appearance.
Yeah.
And it bothers me to see those old images, because now, I'm still not like a super confident guy, but my confidence is way higher than it used to be.
Yeah.
And even though I don't dress that great, like, I still love my t-shirt and jeans, I'm more comfortable in it. I'm more comfortable even with the extra weight. I'm still more comfortable in my skin than I was then. And I hope that I hope that other people can pick up on that.
Yeah.
Because like, one of the things that annoyed me was, like, I would make a joke and then I would say, I'm just joking.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was too afraid to upset somebody.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I had to let them know, hey, what I just said was a joke.
Yeah.
When clearly it was.
Well,
like,
don't
earlier
joke
when
like that.
Like earlier when I was saying, like, only women
Yeah.
cook in the kitchen and men cook. Like,
That was a joke.
that was a joke. I hope y'all picked up on that. And if you got offended, good. It's an offensive joke. If you laughed at that, I was like, yeah, that's right. Tell her. Then yeah, maybe you're thinking the wrong way.
Yeah.
But
no, go ahead. Sorry.
no, and you had mentioned earlier when we were talking about this before, that there was a TV show that you and your family watched. In addition to the home videos, there was a popular show that you and your kids watched during the family.
Yeah.
What was it?
It's Karate Kid, right?
The show is Cobra Kai.
Cobra Kai.
Which is great. And it's a sequel to a movie that's like 35 years old.
Yeah.
Which was a great movie. I love the movie.
Yeah.
And again, it's like, and the production of that, the first 2 seasons of that were made before the pandemic hit. Yeah. It was just something that was maybe in the zeitgeist of like, again, let's go back to our childhood. Let's kind of relive those classic memories. But your kids, are they enjoying it, or are they just like,
gosh. Yeah, they binge watched it because it's the third season's over. We're waiting for the 4th season to drop.
The 3rd season just came out at the beginning of the new year.
Yeah, like I finished it one night. I was like, oh my gosh. They were like, you finished it? Thanks for waiting for us. I was like, what? But I think when we go back as our age, and we go back and we see those movies, it takes us, we're like, damn, we sat down and we watched movies together as a family, or we went to the movies. So those are good memories. And the kids on their own find these, I'm not much into movies, that.
I know that.
I'm bad with names. I'm bad with pop culture. Am I saying that right? Pop culture.
Yes. Yeah, you can't even say the word. My goodness. You don't even know what it's called. I don't understand you. Anyway, go ahead.
I'm bad with poop culture. No, I'm joking.
Yeah, you don't like when people fart. Anyway,
yeah.
Don't get sidetracked.
So,
keep going with the talk.
Last night, perfect example. We were trying to find something on TV while we were eating dinner, and Luis, 16 years old, okay, I hear, my back is actually kind of facing, anyway, so he says, oh, put it on Footloose. And,
Wait, the original or the remake?
That's exactly what I said. That was exactly what I said. And he
because
was like,
one of those I'm willing to watch.
He's like, the original. I love that movie. I've never put on Footloose for them to watch. So they on their own. So I don't know if it's, I say we, like current society, or, producers, filmmakers, whatever, or these people that put on these shows on TV. Those were hits. Those were good movies. And it just goes to show that they weren't just good movies in the 80s or the 70s or 90s, whatever. They're still good movies. Not to say they don't make good movies now, but it draws, attention to even our current.
That's an excellent point. Because like when I was in film school, there were classics that I had to study that are great timeless, like Casablanca.
Mm-hmm.
It was a black and white movie that was made in the 40s, I believe. And there I was in the 2000s, like late 90s, early 2000s, watching it, enjoying it, and learning from it. So yeah, like, there are some things that are become timeless.
Yeah.
They may represent a certain time in history, but their story is timeless. Oh. And a group of kids not being allowed to dance. It's been outlawed for religious reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that happening again.
Yeah. I mean, shit, it's like history repeating itself, trying to.
Yeah. So just to get the message out there again, like there's nothing I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with nostalgia. I just want people to be aware of it and just be careful not to get caught in the trappings of it and looking at your past through overly rose-colored lenses and thinking like, oh, things were so much better back then, because it pulls you out of the present. It prevents you from enjoying now and being in the moment. But it is sometimes fun to just take a trip back and share those memories with your kids, with your family, with your friends.
Yeah.
Like, remember when we used to, or
right.
Like, because it might help you discover, like, why don't I do that now? Okay, well, now I'm married and I have kids. I have different priorities and responsibilities. I can find a way to do fun stuff with them that
yeah.
Maybe you don't want to go out drinking with your kids.
Yeah.
Maybe you don't want to sit around and pass a joint around.
Well, my kids 2 of them are over 21, so it's like party. It's not. It's not. I'm like, anyway. But yeah, I want to tag on too because it doesn't. It's you do have to be careful with it because even if you go down memory lane and you're trying to look at it as, oh look, this we used to do this or it was so much fun. Your perspective's different now.
Yes.
As you know, as than what it was when whatever time frame or age you were. But you don't want to change what reality was then and you don't want to fake it to what you think it you don't want to change it.
Yeah, like how many times did our parents tell us that it was so much better when they were kids?
Yeah. How many times do we say that too? Like being able to ride the bicycle in the neighborhood. Shit, well, don't catch me on my street.
I mean, my family cared enough to try and teach me. Luis's family didn't care about him because they never taught. Oh, I'm sorry, that was you who didn't care about your son. Yeah. I'm sorry, I didn't mean it like that, but you didn't.
Oh gosh.
But no, and that's the point I'm trying to make. You know, the music I grew up listening to, our parents didn't like. They didn't like our music. And how many times like have your kids or whatever played a song that you were like, oh my God, you call that music?
This is the negative nostalgic part of me forcing it on my kids. So when I grew up, my mom had just gone through a divorce. She was, I'm going to say, coming out of her shell, being a married woman. So now she
was divorcing from your father.
Yeah.
Who had come to the rescue originally.
Yeah. Yeah. Turned out to be a freaking hoax. No, I'm joking. I'm joking.
It was fake news.
Yeah. So a lot of the music that he listened to too, that I can remember, was a lot of the mariachi.
Those classic 80s hits.
Classic 80s. No, it was like
this is for a very specific audience that you're talking about.
Old Mexican,
like Vicente
Fernandez. It was love music, just depressing. But in the moment, you didn't see it like that. What our
family called beer drinking music.
Yeah. So the same thing I started doing when I was getting a divorce. No, I'm joking. I did not get a divorce.
My goodness.
But I found myself when I was upset or when homie and I did have an argument or whatever we were going through, that was my go-to music. And even when things were fine, I find to this day, I love that music. And my kids, when they put their playlist on, I hear a lot of what I listen to or what I used to like, that it's the same thing. And I'm like, oh shit, what have I done? I told them the other day, y'all need to start thinking about therapy. They're like, why, Mom? I'm like, because I didn't do the best job.
Yeah. Luis didn't even know how to ride a bicycle till he was 16.
Does that mean anything to you?
Yeah. What does that say about my parenting skills? Our parents put the shit that they couldn't deal with into us, and we're putting the shit we can't deal with into you. And that's double because it has our parents' shit in there.
Yeah. And now I'm realizing it.
Kids, you're full of shit.
Y'all need help. Don't wait till you're in your 40s.
Yes.
I'm joking, but yeah.
I'm joking, but not. Yeah.
I'm just kidding. That was a joke.
Yeah. Anyway, that's really all I want to say. Nostalgia, it's enjoyable. Be careful. Just be mindful of the negative effects it could have. We talk a lot about nostalgia. I'll continue to talk about it. I'll continue to enjoy it. But I just want people to be careful and be cognizant of how you try and sell your childhood to your own kids.
Like you said, be careful with nostalgia. And if you find yourself going down a dark path, talk about it. You know, we're our worst critics.
Reach out to friends, family.
I would say don't try to fix it on your own, because sometimes we don't realize what we're feeling is just feelings that we need to get out. And it doesn't mean we're bad people or what. We're different. And one of the things in that article that I read from
Krista Gray.
Yeah, you have to think about where you are now. You went through those things to get to where you are now, and hopefully you're in a better place. And just the fact that, like you said, you're able to recognize things, to see that, and that's what we needed.
Gross, clear your throat.
I can't help it. That's what we needed to see. When I say my sisters and I, when we were like, damn, why did we do that? Why did we look like that? Why did we talk like that?
You need to see what bitches you were when you were little.
Yeah. And one of the things we had to see, look where we've come. Not that we're these great, people, but we've got families, we've respectable women, whatever.
You're raising good kids.
Yeah.
Who probably speak to people when they come into the house.
Yeah, and
you have a podcast.
Yeah, who know how to ride bikes now.
Mostly.
All right, I know we're going off.
So. Yeah. We need to wrap it up. So, like, it doesn't make you a bad person. You're only a bad person if you purposely cook dinner that your husband's not going to like. Is that the message we can take from this?
Absolutely. Let him pick out all the red stuff, even if it's just the whole sauce.
Oh, my goodness. Let me know how tonight's dinner goes.
Will do.
All right. Goodbye, everybody.
Hasta luego.
Adiós.
Y sigo siendo el rey.
No tengo trono ni reina.
Ni nadie
que me comprenda. Pero sigo siendo el rey.